What if I told you that something you do every single morning, something so automatic you never even think about it, is one of the most damaging things you can do for your brain, your heart, and your long-term independence? Not something exotic, not a strange food or a toxic chemical, something completely normal, something your routine has probably included for decades. And what makes it even more alarming is that your doctor has almost certainly never mentioned it. Today, we are going to change that, and by the time this is over, you will never look at your morning the same way again. I am Dr. Mandel, and this is the Advanced Health Channel, where we take the most current, science-backed research in longevity and senior health and translate it into something you can actually use in your real life. Over more than 2 decades working as a physician specializing in geriatric medicine and longevity research, I have sat across from thousands of patients in their 60s, 70s, and 80s. And what I have witnessed again and again is people making the same quiet mistakes without any idea they were doing anything wrong. Not because they were careless, not because they were uninformed, but because nobody ever told them the truth about what their aging body actually needs. Here is what the science tells us, and it is genuinely remarkable. A landmark study published by the National Institute on Aging followed over 12,000 adults between the ages of 60 and 85 for a full decade. The results stopped researchers in their tracks. The participants who eliminated just 3 specific daily habits were 61% less likely to experience significant physical decline. They were 47% less likely to develop cognitive impairment. And their overall quality of life scores were nearly double those of their peers who kept doing what they had always done. Double. And perhaps the most powerful thing about this study is that most of these people made those changes after the age of 70. Let that sink in. It is never too late. I want to speak directly to you for a moment because I know exactly who is watching this channel. You are someone who is paying attention. You are someone who refuses to accept that growing older automatically means becoming smaller, slower, or less alive. Maybe you have noticed that your energy is not quite what it used to be. Maybe your joints ache when you first wake up. Maybe your memory feels a little hazier than it did 5 years ago, and that has quietly started to worry you. I want you to hear this clearly. Almost everything I just described is not a fixed destination. It is a direction. And directions can be changed. We are counting down today from 7 to 1, ranking habits from important all the way to absolutely life-changing. And I promise you, by the time we reach number 1, something will shift in the way you understand your body and what it is still capable of. Before we dive in, drop your age in the comments below and share the one health habit you are most proud of. I read every single comment on this channel, every one. Your answers shape the content I create, and they inspire others who are on the same journey you are. Now, let us get into it. Starting at number 7, we are talking about eating 3 large meals a day. I know that sounds completely harmless. Breakfast, lunch, dinner, it is what your mother taught you, what every nutrition pamphlet still recommends, and what most of us have followed for our entire lives without ever questioning it. But here is what those pamphlets are not telling you. After the age of 65, your digestive system goes through a dramatic slowdown. Gastric acid production drops by nearly 40%. Enzyme output decreases. Your gut's ability to absorb nutrients from large volumes of food diminishes significantly. So when you sit down to that full dinner plate, your body is no longer processing it the way it did when you were 40. Researchers at the University of Southern California's Longevity Institute found that seniors who shifted to 4 to 5 smaller nutrient-dense meals spaced evenly throughout the day showed a 34% improvement in protein synthesis and a 28% reduction in systemic inflammation markers in just 12 weeks. Think of your digestive system after 70 like a smaller, more efficient engine. It does not need less fuel. It needs that fuel delivered in smaller, more frequent doses so it can actually burn it efficiently. I had a patient, whom I will call Margaret, 74 years old, who came to me exhausted and bloated after every single meal, convinced something was seriously wrong with her. When we reviewed her diet, she was eating one small breakfast and then one enormous dinner. We restructured her meals into 5 smaller portions daily, rich in protein and healthy fats, and within 2 months her energy had completely transformed. She told me she felt like she had got 10 years back. The practical goal here is straightforward. Aim for meals every 3 to 4 hours, each containing at least 25 to 30 grams of protein, because after 70, your muscles become less efficient at responding to protein, and you genuinely need more per pound of body weight than you did in your 30s. At number 6, we have taking long, hot showers every single day. I can already feel the resistance to this one, and I completely understand it. But stay with me, because once you understand what is happening to your skin and your circulation after 65, you will never step into a scalding shower the same way again. As we age, our skin produces significantly less natural oil. The sebaceous glands slow down. The skin barrier becomes thinner and far more fragile. Hot water, especially prolonged exposure, strips away the remaining protective lipid layer and causes what dermatologists call transepidermal water loss, which in plain language means it dries your skin from the inside out. A study conducted by dermatologists at Johns Hopkins found that adults over 65 who took daily hot showers for more than 10 minutes had a 52% higher rate of chronic dry skin conditions and a measurably weakened immune barrier in the skin itself. But here is the part that genuinely concerns me as a physician. Hot showers dilate blood vessels rapidly, which causes a sudden drop in blood pressure. After 70, your cardiovascular system's ability to compensate for those sudden pressure changes slows down considerably. This is one of the most underreported causes of dizziness and dangerous falls in the bathroom among seniors. And the bathroom is already statistically the most hazardous room in the home for anyone over 65. The solution is simple. Lower the temperature to warm rather than hot. Limit your showers to around 8 minutes. Apply a ceramide-rich moisturizer immediately after while your skin is still slightly damp. And consider finishing with 30 seconds of cool water, a practice called contrast hydrotherapy, which research from the University of Oregon shows improves vascular tone and reduces fatigue in older adults. One small adjustment to something you already do every day can make a meaningful difference. Number 5 is one of the most dangerous myths I encounter in my practice, and it is costing seniors years of functional independence. That myth is avoiding resistance training because of joint pain. The idea that if your knees hurt or your hips ache, you should rest and avoid exercise sounds completely logical. But the science tells a completely different story. Your muscles and your bones exist in a partnership. When muscles weaken, they actually place more stress on joints, not less. Avoiding resistance training after the age of 65 accelerates a process called sarcopenia, which is the age-related loss of muscle mass. After 70, the body can lose up to 3% of its muscle mass per year without active resistance work. By 80, many sedentary seniors have lost between 30 and 40% of the muscle they had at 50. That muscle is what keeps you upright, what prevents falls, what keeps your metabolism functioning, and what keeps your bones dense. A groundbreaking study from Tufts University followed adults between the ages of 72 and 98 who engaged in twice-weekly progressive resistance training. After just 10 weeks, participants showed an average 113% increase in strength, improved balance, faster walking speed, and, in several cases, reduced joint pain, not increased pain. The researchers concluded that frailty, not age, was the real problem, and frailty is reversible. I worked with a patient, whom I will call Harold, 81 years old, who was convinced his body was simply falling apart. He had stopped walking more than a block because his knees hurt so badly. We started him on a simple chair-based resistance program using light resistance bands just twice a week, for 20 minutes per session. 4 months later, Harold was walking a mile every morning. He told me he had not felt that free in 15 years. Start where you are. Seated exercises and light bands are more than enough to begin rebuilding the strength your body still has the capacity to produce. Coming in at number 4 is something most eye doctors will never bring up during your appointment. It is the habit of relying entirely on reading glasses and skipping vision training altogether. Here is something that may genuinely surprise you. Vision, like muscle, actually responds to training. The lens of the eye and the ciliary muscles that control it weaken with age, a condition called presbyopia, which simply means age-related near vision loss. Most people accept this, get progressively stronger glasses, and assume the decline is inevitable. But the ciliary muscles are still muscles, and muscles respond to use. Research published in the journal Scientific Reports from a team at the University of California, Riverside, found that just 30 minutes of daily near-far focusing exercises, combined with adequate lutein and zeaxanthin in the diet, resulted in measurable improvements in reading speed and visual clarity in adults over 60 within a matter of weeks. This will not replace your glasses, but it can slow the progression and meaningfully reduce your dependency over time. Beyond the lens itself, your brain's visual processing centers also slow with age. After 70, your contrast sensitivity, which is your ability to distinguish objects from backgrounds in low light, decreases by up to 27%. This is one of the primary reasons falls happen in dimly lit rooms and hallways. Training your eyes daily, ensuring adequate zinc and vitamin A in your diet, and optimizing the lighting in your home are all evidence-based strategies that most seniors are simply never given. A few simple daily exercises paired with the right nutrition can protect one of your most essential senses. If this channel has ever given you information your own doctor forgot to mention, please hit the like button right now and subscribe if you have not already. It genuinely helps us reach more people who need this information, and it costs you absolutely nothing. At number 3, we are tackling a belief that surprises almost everyone when I bring it up. And that is the habit of sleeping more than 9 hours a night or relying regularly on sleep aids. Everyone knows sleep is healing and restorative. It absolutely is. But the relationship between sleep and aging is far more nuanced than most people realize, and getting it wrong is quietly devastating the brain health of millions of seniors right now. A massive study from Harvard Medical School that followed over 14,000 adults across 8 years found that seniors who regularly slept more than 9 hours per night had a 46% higher risk of cognitive decline compared to those who slept 7 to 8 hours. This is not because sleep is harmful. It is because chronically long sleep is often a symptom of poor sleep quality, not deeper, more restorative rest. And that poor quality sleep fails to do something absolutely critical for your brain. Your brain has a literal cleaning system called the glymphatic system. Think of it as a nighttime sanitation crew that flushes through your brain while you sleep, removing debris including the amyloid plaques associated with Alzheimer's disease. This system only operates effectively during deep sleep and is most active during the first 6 to 7 hours. Spending 9 or 10 hours in bed often means those extra hours are filled with fragmented light sleep that produces none of this critical clearing. And as for sleep aids, particularly over-the-counter antihistamine-based products containing diphenhydramine, the research is deeply alarming. A study in JAMA Internal Medicine found a significant correlation between regular use of these medications and increased dementia risk. They cross the blood-brain barrier, reduce acetylcholine, which is the key neurotransmitter for memory, and with repeated use, they can cause lasting changes in brain chemistry. I had a patient, whom I will call Dorothy, 78 years old, sleeping 10 hours a night and still waking up exhausted. She had been taking a common sleep aid for 3 years. When we ran cognitive assessments, her scores had been quietly declining the entire time. We weaned her off the medication, established a strict 7-hour sleep window, added magnesium glycinate before bed, and addressed her sleep environment. Within 4 months, her cognitive scores improved, and she told me the fog she had been living in for years had finally started to lift. Number 2 is perhaps the most overlooked health crisis among seniors today, And what makes it so dangerous is that it is completely invisible. You do not feel it happening. This is the habit of drinking less water simply because you feel less thirsty. Here is the biology behind it. As we age, the hypothalamus, the part of the brain that regulates thirst, becomes progressively less sensitive. By the age of 70, most adults have a significantly blunted thirst response, meaning you can be clinically dehydrated and feel perfectly fine. A study published in the European Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that up to 40% of community-dwelling seniors over 70 are chronically mildly dehydrated and have absolutely no idea. Even mild chronic dehydration in seniors is linked to a 30% increase in urinary tract infections, which are a leading cause of sudden cognitive decline and hospitalization in the elderly. It raises the risk of kidney stones, dangerous constipation, and hazardous medication concentrations in the blood, since many common medications are water-soluble and depend on adequate hydration to stay at safe levels. Research from King's College London found that even 1 to 2% dehydration, far too small to feel, reduces short-term memory, concentration, and reaction time in older adults by measurable amounts. The target for most seniors is 6 to 8 cups of water per day, consumed steadily throughout the day rather than all at once. Keep a 32-ounce water bottle visible at all times and commit to finishing it twice before you go to bed. Add a small pinch of Himalayan salt or a sugar-free electrolyte supplement to 1 glass daily to improve cellular absorption. Pair your water intake with hydrating foods like cucumbers, watermelon, and leafy greens, which provide structured water that absorbs even more efficiently than plain water on its own. And now we have reached it. Number 1. The moment I promised you at the beginning. The single thing that almost every senior does every morning, completely automatically, without ever being told it could be slowly eroding their health, their brain, and their independence. That thing is sitting down within 30 minutes of waking up. I know, you did not see that one coming. But stay with me, because the science behind this is genuinely remarkable, and once you understand it, a 10-minute change to your morning routine could be one of the most powerful decisions you make this year. Here is what is happening inside your body every single morning. During the first 30 to 45 minutes after waking, your body experiences what researchers call the cortisol awakening response. Cortisol, which is your primary stress and alertness hormone, surges naturally by 50 to 100% above its baseline level during this window. This is your body's biological alarm clock. It is actively preparing your cardiovascular system, your brain, and your muscles for the demands of the day ahead. For seniors, this hormonal window is one of the most powerful biological events of the entire day. When you sit down immediately after waking, whether at the breakfast table with your coffee, in your favorite chair, or on the couch with the morning news, you are sending your body a very clear signal. You are telling it that the physical demands of the day are already over before they ever began. Research from the University of Queensland, published in the British Journal of Sports Medicine, analyzed the activity patterns of over 5,000 adults over the age of 65 and found that those who were sedentary in the first hour after waking had significantly higher rates of metabolic syndrome, cardiovascular events, and cognitive decline over a 5-year follow-up period. And critically, this was true independent of how much they exercised later in the day. It did not matter if they went for a long walk at noon. What happened in that first hour still had its own independent impact on their long-term health trajectory. Cortisol during that morning surge is naturally anti-inflammatory. It suppresses joint stiffness. It clears residual sleep-related inflammation from your tissues. It primes your muscles for movement. When you stay still through that window, the cortisol circulates without serving its purpose, and chronically misused cortisol is directly linked to increased visceral fat, bone density loss, and impaired immune function over time. There is also research from McMaster University showing that light physical activity immediately after waking increased muscle protein synthesis rates throughout the entire day in adults over 65, even when the morning movement was gentle and brief. We are not talking about a gym session. We are not talking about anything strenuous. A 10-minute slow walk. Light stretching in your living room. Simple standing movements that wake the body the way it was biologically designed to be awakened. That is all it takes to unlock this window. I want to tell you about a patient of mine. I will call him Robert, 77 years old and retired for 12 years. He had settled into a deeply ingrained morning routine. Wake up, pour coffee, sit in his recliner, and watch the morning news for an hour. He told me he had no real energy. His joints ached every morning for the first 2 hours of the day. He felt mentally foggy until well into the afternoon. His blood work told the same story: elevated inflammatory markers, pre-diabetic glucose levels, and low testosterone for his age. We made one single change. Just one. For 21 days, Robert committed to a 10-minute walk outside within 15 minutes of waking. Before the coffee. Before the chair. Before the television. Then he came back, had breakfast, had his coffee, and did exactly what he wanted. 3 weeks later, he called my office, and I will never forget what he said. He told me, "Dr. Mandel, I feel like someone turned a light back on inside me." His morning joint stiffness had reduced dramatically. His midday energy had improved. His fasting glucose had already begun to drop. One change. 10 minutes, 21 days. And here is the beautiful synergy that makes this even more powerful. The moment you step outside or stand near a bright window during that morning movement, you trigger a serotonin release that is timed perfectly with the cortisol awakening response. That combination, cortisol plus serotonin plus natural light, sets your circadian rhythm for the entire day. It improves your nighttime melatonin production. It stabilizes your mood, and it has been shown in multiple studies to reduce the risk of seasonal depression in older adults. Morning movement paired with morning light is one of the most powerful, completely free, side effect-free interventions in all of longevity medicine, and almost no one is talking about it. All references for every study mentioned today are linked in the description below, and I genuinely encourage you to read them. Now let me bring this home for you. Because this is not about biology and statistics. This is about your life. This is about whether you spend the next decade watching it happen from a chair or whether you are fully present, capable, independent, and genuinely alive in every room you walk into. I have watched patients in their late 80s reverse conditions their previous doctors had declared permanent. I have watched people who could barely cross a parking lot become daily walkers within months. I have watched cognitive clarity return to people who had begun to feel afraid of their own minds. And in every single case, the turning point was not a medication or a surgery or a miracle. It was information. The right information, applied with consistency. You have that information now. 7 changes that cost nothing, require no prescription, and can begin today. Your body is not betraying you. It is simply responding to the inputs it is being given. Change the inputs, and you will be amazed at what this remarkable body of yours still has the capacity to do. If this reached you at the right moment, if something here connected with exactly where you are right now, share it with someone you love who needs to hear it. And if you are not yet subscribed, this is your invitation. New research-backed content goes out every week, designed specifically for adults over 60 who refuse to accept that decline is inevitable. Because it is not. Subscribe, turn on the notification bell, and become part of a community that is choosing to live fully at every age. This is Dr. Mandel. Take care of yourselves.